Pronunciation Pro.
Pronunciation Pro.
Hello and welcome to the Pronunciation Pro podcast. My name is Annie Rudin and I'd like to welcome you today. Today I want to talk about a communication strategy that I heard a few years ago, and it really has influenced the way that I talk to people, but also and connect with people. But it's also a mindset in communication that I think leads to greater connection and keeps you open to more in the conversation. Now, I hear from a lot of my students that, just being able to maintain a conversation, being able to kind of engage more deeply in a conversation is a challenge and in English. And I want to suggest this tool to help you engage more and to keep your mind and the conversation open. All right, the tool or the strategy is called yes and. So let's talk about, let's say you're in a conversation and someone responds, you say something and they say yes, but then it kind of shuts down the conversation. It creates a disconnection. Yes, but that word but is like in opposition to. Okay, yes, but I'm going to say something contrary to that or against that. I want to contrast this with if you were to say yes and then kind of add your piece to it. So yes and creates more energy, creativity, collaboration. And I'll explain a little bit more about what I'm talking today, but today's episode will show how this improv rule, so it goes back to theater, can transform your communication. So let's talk about kind of the origin of this yes and. So it really comes to improv. So improvisational theater, I'm going to say that again. Improvisational theater. Improv is what it's called in short. So improvisational is unscripted acting. It is acting with other actors, with other performers, but there's no script. People don't have a set thing that they have to say. Improv is actually a really great way of learning communication and learning how to think on your toes. So I recommend doing improv and Toastmasters in addition to Pronunciation Pro, because it will help you kind of build on the skills that you learn at Pronunciation Pro. But improv is, I don't know if you've watched any improv, but there's a lot of improv in sketch comedy. So in like Saturday Night Live in the United States, we have Saturday Night Live. There is a lot of kind of improv that happens there, but a true improv place is they really don't have any scripts. They have a framework or an outline, and they are filling in the gaps. And I see life as one great improv is that we don't have a script. We don't have an outline. I mean, we don't have a script, but we have kind of this outline or this general way that we communicate with each other. And there are kind of cultural rules depending on where you are that help you understand kind of how to engage with people, what kind of outlines to have. So think of this yes and as part of that rule of unscripted communication with other people. Like I said, all of life really is unscripted. We're going around making up our own plays, if you will, and being able to add humor and add stories and add these elements of communication just make it more rich and engaging. So being a student of communication and being a student of human interaction and connection means that you're a student of kind of, similar to improv, because it's all unscripted. All of our life is unscripted. So the number one rule of improv, and I think the number one rule of communication with each other, is this: yes and. Yes and means you're going to accept what your partner says and you're going to add something to build the scene. So, for example, actor one says, "We're on a spaceship to Mars." Actor two says, "Yes, but," then the scene kind of dies at that point. Okay. If it has a but, it's like, "Yes, but we're not here, we're somewhere else." Okay. But if they say yes, and we just lost communication with Earth. It's like you're accepting what they have given you and you're going to add to it and you're going to go along with where they're going. In that case, the scene can grow. You can expand on that scene. You're accepting what they have to say, and in a way it's saying, like, "I hear you, I see you, I'm going to go with what, I'm going to follow the energy that you're providing here." Now, let's talk a little bit more about this application to communicating with each other. Okay. This yes and is really a mindset. It's acceptance and contribution. So I'm going to accept what you're saying and I'm going to contribute. So again, this builds instead of blocks conversation. So swapping that but, yeah, but it can be more contentious, but yes and can build. So it makes colleagues feel supported, it encourages collaboration, and really positions you as a leader. It keeps dialogue positive and connected. It fosters curiosity instead of like conflict. And so there was one situation I was coaching on this week, and one of my clients was talking about a meeting that she was going to be leading. And it's a meeting of 50 to 80 people. And what this meeting generally has been in the past is she has come to this meeting, she has presented kind of the plan because she's in the leadership role, and they're presenting what the plan is, and the rest of these chapters or these departments are there. And what it has been in the past is that she's kind of been frustrated with these meetings. She doesn't like to go because basically she feels like, she goes, she presents, and then she opens it up for questions. And the questions tend to be really critical feedback. And, well, why didn't you think about this? And did you consider this? And why aren't you doing this? And what are you doing with, on this part? And she feels like the energy she feels is being attacked, and that they don't respect her leadership. They don't respect all that she's done to kind of put these plans in place. She's kind of been feeling like they don't understand the whole of it and all that we're doing behind the scenes to really be able to provide these strategies, and that they're coming with very limited understanding. So this is kind of the mindset. So there was a lot of like, yes, but, so the questions would come in and she'd be, the energy was like, "Yeah, but you're not considering this," or, "Yeah, but you don't know about this part." So there was a little bit of this yes, but energy that she brought to these meetings. And so we talked about it, and really her goal, the result that she was wanting, is she's just kind of burnt out. She's really, these meetings and, the rest of her work is really draining her energy. And she's just exhausted with the job, she's exhausted with the process, and she knows that she can't leave the job or change the job anytime soon. So she's trying to find a way of staying in the job and being able to get that energy back, or to maintain her energy, or at best, just like even neutralize, or, at least not at best, but at the least being able to just neutralize the energy so she's not so like exhausted all the time. And I could see going into these meetings with that yes but energy, it's more defensive, it's more being on the, feeling like you're being attacked and that you have to defend yourself. So we talked about, okay, how can we change our mindset? So you still have to do these meetings, or she's choosing to continue to do those meetings because she doesn't want to disrupt her life at this point. She wants to learn how to be happy and be able to manage her energy within the job that she has. Because a lot of times we shift the external in our lives. We're trying to change the external to feel better, but instead of looking internally and saying, okay, I'm going to feel better first and then decide if I want to change the external. So I really like her strategy in how she is handling this situation. She's trying to find peace and joy in her current circumstance instead of just jumping from job to job. And so anyway, we're working on being able to help her change the energy that she's bringing into it. And so that all comes down to mindset. So we have been talking about different ways of thinking about this meeting and having more of this yes and energy going into it. So we've been talking about like what kind of mind shifts can, or reframes, mindsets can we bring in here. And so we start talking about the audience, and the audience that she is presenting to. They're in these chapters that, maybe don't have a lot of say in what happens at the leadership level of the organization. And yet, they're there, they want to have a voice, and they want to feel valued. They want to feel like they can contribute, because really, if they just, show up, they don't add anything to it, probably from their end, they're thinking like, this is how, the only way I have influence on the leadership, the bigger picture. And this is the only way I can contribute. And if I can have a voice here, then maybe it'll help my position, I guess. But really, kind of the deeper need, because that's what I asked her, is like, what is the need of your audience? Which is a great question to ask when you're presenting. What is the need of your audience? And the need of the audience really is to be heard, to feel like they have a voice, and to feel valued, feel valued in their position. And so as we were talking about this, I was talking to my client, and she was saying, she was telling me the kind of leader she wants to be. She wants to be compassionate. She wants to be, have an open mind, because she has a boss that is not that way, and it makes her feel unvalued and unheard. And so she sees this boss that she has and is saying, I don't want to be like that. I want to be different. And so when we're talking about her leadership role over other people, it's like, okay, how can you live into the kind of leader that you want to be? And it was, hey, I want to go into this meeting not feeling like I have to defend myself, but that I am listening to the feedback, no matter how they say it. Because she was saying that sometimes it's incredibly rude the way that they talk to her, like she's an idiot or something. And so she's taking offense to it, instead of just recognizing that it's like, hey, these people are just trying to be heard. They just trying to feel valued. And what can I do to help them feel valued? So we talked about ways of bringing this yes and energy. So being able to listen to their questions and be like, yes. And that's, That's a great idea. Thank you for your feedback. This is what we are considering. This is why we're doing this. And I hear your concerns with that. And just being able to recognize that need for them and help fill that need for your audience. It opens, again, like we were saying, it opens you up to more creativity, that creative mindset, acceptance, and contributing. Like we're collaborating here, we're doing this together. And it builds connection, because before there was a lot of disconnection in that yes but defensive strategy that she was holding. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that affects the way that she's seen as a leader. Because if you think about it, the best kind of leaders are those who are listening, who are valuing who you are and what you have to offer, who are respectful and see you as a person and not just a barrier or a nuisance. So that's what I am going to encourage you on today. So let's kind of recap. This yes and mindset, and even just words, keeps conversation alive. It fosters connection, it builds confidence. So I want you to notice this week, notice the buts. How are you using the word but? And but this or but that, replace it with ands. Okay. Kind of reflect on this conversation and or reflect on this idea and how your conversations feel different when you shift to this yes and mindset. And just remember, communication is about connection. And this can be a powerful tool for that, to create that connection with others. Okay, I'm going to leave that with you. Oh, I was going to just comment about how personally this has influenced my life. So I remember, I know specifically, this has come to mind. I have my new husband, Matt. He is a very funny guy, big sense of humor, loves to joke and tease and laugh and things like that. And I notice that I think about this yes and energy. Instead of shutting him down and kind of the energy that he brings, it's like he wants to joke and play while we're working. I'm more, and we were talking about this the other day, I'm a work first, play later type of mentality. Let's get the work done and then we'll play. And he's let's play while we work. And so I could, like my tendency is be like, hey, stop it. Stop the joking around. Let's just get to work. Let's get the job done, and then we'll joke and laugh afterwards. But I was like, no, I don't want to squash his fun. I don't want to squash who he is and his way of being. I think his humor is valuable, even though that's not the way that I go about life. We could probably use a little bit more humor and a little bit more fun along the way and throughout the process. And so it's different than me. It's different than I do it. And so it has led me to think about this yes and concept of like, okay, I'm going to receive the humor that you're bringing, or the jokes, or the energy that you're providing, and I'm going to kind of add to it or continue on with the joke or play along with what you're doing. And it allows him to be in that fun, playful energy, and it allows us to move into that energy with him, and it creates connection. And I notice with one of my sons, he's a yes but kind of, he shuts him down, he shuts his new stepdad, he shuts him down quite a bit and doesn't want to be joking and laughing and playing with him as much. And he has more of a like, I just want to get things done. I just want to do this, and don't bother me with your jokes kind of thing. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so I see the contrast of that, the yes but, where he's kind of blocking that energy, blocking who Matt is showing up as. And obviously, there has to be adjustments both ways, but we're all learning these new styles of communication with each other. And I want you to just pay attention to that in your relationships, in your life. Are you shutting down someone's energy, or are you kind of accepting it and building off of it? I hope this made sense to you. I think that one thing that I'm noticing in Pronunciation Pro is that a lot of our students, yes, we need to work on accent. Yes, we need to work on pronunciation and speaking clearly, but also, and also, look, I just said but I'm going to say and also, because in addition to that, there's a great need for leadership communication training. And I feel like these topics are the kind of topics that we need to be talking about to build more leadership communication skills. So I will be exploring that more and more, of just like what tools, what strategies can we move into, and mindsets can you move into, so that you can become a stronger leader and build those leadership communication skills. All right. Well, thank you for being with me today. I appreciate you being here, and the conversation will keep flowing. We'll just keep working on those areas that I feel like our students need. And of course, if you're not a member of Pronunciation Pro, we would love to have you come join us. And especially if you are needing more advanced training, one-on-one advanced training, let's schedule a free consultation so we can meet, I can get to know you, and we can figure out together how to help you reach your goals for your communication skills in English. All right, have a great rest of the week or great week, and we will see you next time.
Pronunciation
Pronunciation Pro.
Pronunciation
Pronunciation Pro.